physically. Like, and he's already athletically gifted, but if it just doesn't work out, like, I still feel every week the Eagles are going to go to battle for him, even if he's struggling. And
absolutely,
that's one thing I like about him. And last year with Carson Wentz, and again, it's stuff I hear too. Like, I just don't know if Carson had that fire last year compared to previous years, and that's what worried me about him. I'm like, okay, is this guy like checking out? Like, because.
All right, we're back on the middle. Harry Mays and Barrett Brooks. Eitan out today. He'll be back with us tomorrow. We're going to start off hour number 2, talking some more football here on the Fritz and B and Cooley studios with our buddy from CBS Sports, another PA guy. He's our buddy Jeff Kerr, and I reached out to Jeff this morning, or actually last night. I thought I sent the email link to the right email address. Apparently I didn't. I transposed one of the letters in your email address, and of course it doesn't come. And I'm like, man, Jeff didn't respond. I wonder if he's out of the country. Maybe he's on vacation, because this is the time all the guys in the football media at least get their vacations in, just like the players and the coaches before the season starts at the end of the month. I'm like, yeah, he's probably with Baldy in Costa Rica or something, surfing.
Diving for a lobster somewhere,
Right. Swimming with manatees or something, with Baldy. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send it to him again. And I sent it to the correct email address, and he gets right back to me. He goes, dude, I didn't get the first one, but hell yeah, I'll come on. So glad to have you on, Jeff. What's going on today?
Hey, thanks, Harry. Thanks, Barrett. Yeah, so when I go on vacation, I'm one of the weird guys. I go on vacation, but I stay home. I play in my basketball league, and I run 10Ks. I'm not one of those guys. I have to be active during my vacation. I'm not one to sit on the beach.
Right. So you're more like a staycation guy.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
me too.
Nothing is better than doing something.
Well, I'm the type, man, that I can always find something to do around my house when I'm on vacation, man.
That's how I am. I want to do this office here a bit, get rid of some stuff. And so that's pretty much what I've been doing. It's kind of a work in progress. I'm working on my basement, making that the man cave. So that's pretty much what I'm doing.
That's good work by you.
Barrett's got a lot of women around in his life that he never really gets a vacation.
No, they go all the time. They go all the time. Right. And they leave me here, bro. I'm telling you, they've been everywhere, man. And they leave me right here. I'm talking about Dubai. They've been to Thailand, and where am I at? Right here,
doing a show with me. All right, Jeff. I can start you off. We talked with RJ Choppy, who does been doing radio forever down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and covers the Cowboys, and he has Jerry Jones on his show every week. And we asked, I think this was Barrett who just said, hey, from afar, like, how do you guys view the Eagles organization? And he said the first word that came to mind was turmoil.
I don't think it's that bad. I think the Texans are turmoil.
Yes, well,
right.
Chance to be good this year.
Well, you're absolutely right, man. But just from going on, with the front office, I think they're starting to settle down a little bit. People are really starting to turn the corner on really thinking that the quarterback situation isn't as bad as we think. Hurts might be good enough. This team might be a lot better than we're thinking. I think that's starting to be the common census on what I've been asking people about, and they're starting to believe in Hurts a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not one for hot takes per se, but I remember I think I said last December, I may have made it in a tweet or wrote an article about if Jalen Hurts played the whole year for the Eagles, they probably would have won 7 or 8 games just based on how he played. And, everybody wants to point out the completion percentage and the yards per attempt, but look at the dynamic he brought to that offense. That offense was the most exciting. At least I felt that last month of the season all year. And, look at the Cardinals game. Look at the Cowboys game. I know they went stagnant in the second half. Same with the Saints game, but you saw a lot of progress out of that offense. And I started thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe this team isn't as bad as I initially thought it was.
I definitely don't think so.
Well, what do you think the Nick Sirianni offense is going to look like? Like, if you had to sort of compare and contrast to what we'd seen over the last couple of years with the Doug Peterson offense, how different do you think it will look under Sirianni?
I'll tell you what, Harry, come January, I didn't think I was going to watch as many Indianapolis Colts games this year as this offseason, at least as much as I thought I wasn't. I went back to 2018, 2019. They really used Nyheim Hines a lot. And I think that was more Frank Reich, Nick Sirianni than anything else. They really want to create a running back, a pass-catching running back out of the backfield. That was the first thing I've noticed. So Jalen Hurts can get the ball to Miles Sanders, to Kenny Gainwell. Yeah, Austin Scott. I really feel this offense is going to be running back-esque, if you will. Like, they're going to run the ball a lot, but they're going to throw the ball lots of running backs. Their offense is based on getting a running back open in space, and I feel that's going to be the basis of what they're going to try to do this year.
No, they're going to have to, man. I mean, at this point, you're asking the offensive line, and if they are healthy, they could be one of the best offensive lines in the league. It's just a part of their health. But you're absolutely right. How do you get a young quarterback to settle down? How do you get a young quarterback to go through his progression? And if things do start going haywire on you, what do? You dump it right to the back. You give him an opportunity to go out and make a play, get the ball in his hands. And that's exactly what they did in Indianapolis. I mean, if you look at it, their running back situation, they got better as the season went on, and Jonathan Taylor really took huge steps towards the end of the season where they needed him, as opposed to the beginning of the season. Beginning of the season, he was okay, but towards the end of the season, he became the focal point of that offense. Him and his ability to run the rock allowed Rivers to become a better quarterback towards the end of the season. So I think it'll be the same thing with this offense here with the Eagles. If they can do it, and that's if they can make him more comfortable by protecting him, not just by the guys up front, but by using the backs, maybe even the tight end here and there, open things up a little bit. I definitely see that.
I'd be honest, and they should be able to do that. I mean, Jordan Mailata was a lot better than I thought he was going to be last year. I remember probably last July, if someone asked me to evaluate Jordan Mailata, 7th round pick. It's not a bust per se, but it's like, okay, this was a waste of a pick. Like, what are we doing here? All the guy does is get hurt. Now it looks like he has the potential to be a franchise left tackle just based on what I watched last year.
Amazing.
And same with Andre Dillard. Like, I honestly feel like Andre Dillard's going to have that mean streak this year. I can't wait to watch him in camp just because I feel last year kind of lit a fire under him. Like, okay, this job is not mine. And, you got Lane Johnson coming back. You know how good he is. Jason Kelce, you could argue he had his best year of his career last year just based on numbers. And he didn't get an all-pro selection, which was insane. I guess they just don't give it to 4-11-1 football teams. So,
right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and Brandon Brooks, it's the same thing. Like, he's back. He's still one of the best right guards in the game. Isaac Seumalo does more than enough at left guard, and he may even get competition for his job with Landon Dickerson. That's what I love about this team. There's competition across the board, and there's a lot more depth than last year. Like, if Carson Wentz got hurt, you knew that they had Jalen Hurts. But if everybody else got hurt, you're like, okay, is Jordan Mailata really going to replace Jason Peters? Or, who's going to replace Jason Kelce? Is it going to be Nate Herbig? Like, we found out a lot about Nate Herbig. We found out a lot about Jack Driscoll. On defense, we found out a lot about Josh Sweat. That's one thing I really liked about the Eagles last year, even though it was a lost year. There were a lot of guys you could find out that played football. Alex Singleton was one of them. And that's one thing about this team this year. They are going to be deep.
You talk about Dillard, and you're thinking, maybe this is the year that the mean streak shows up. And, Barrett, obviously pays a lot of attention to every position, but really keen on the offensive line. And he, brought up something that he just didn't see that at all in him. And it's true, but can you develop that, or is that just who you are?
I think offensive line, and Barrett would know this better than anybody, I think it comes, honestly. I really do. Like, more than any other position in football, like, we always talk about, like, Ben Simmons in basketball. Can he develop, like, that killer instinct? Well, I think basketball players are a lot different than, say, certain football players. Like, if you don't have that tough guy mentality in football, you're just not going to last in the National Football League. And Andre Dillard can't figure it out this year. He's never going to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. And looking at Andre Dillard and understanding what he's facing right now. He's a first-round pick. They traded up to get him. Expectations were high on him last year. He gets hurt. When he gets hurt, it seemed like it was a great, weight lifted off his body. He seemed like he was a better person, after he got hurt, because he didn't have this to compete now. Now he saw a guy jump in and become a dominant a dominant left tackle for this Eagles team. Now he sees, all right, I got to fight. It's not getting handed to me. You know, Jordan Mailata, they invested a lot of time, a lot of resources in this guy. It's going to take me a little bit to go in and beat this guy out. Can he do it? I'm going to tell you, I don't believe so unless he gets that mean streak. But, hey, you know, you never know. You know, you can go out there and it just turn on like that, you know, just like with Dillard. Just like with Jordan Mailata. I saw in the Dallas game where it clicked. Like he became a monster of a man simply because of one play. He goes out, he hits, he hits the defensive end, drills him on the ground, drives him into the ground. He's like, wow, I can hit this guy and I can hurt him if I wanted to. Let me keep doing this. And from that point on, it clicked in his head. He was ready to play after that because he used his aggressive nature and he became a more dominant player just from him going out to say, all right, I can beat DeMarcus Lawrence. I can beat anybody in the league. And it changed for him after that. His mentality changed after that. And I can see, you know, Dillard may have the same moment. But unless he gets that moment, it's going to be hard for him to get a spot on this team.
I agree. And that's the other thing, Barrett. We kind of know what Jordan Mailata can do against a Dallas front four. We saw what he could do against Chase Young a little bit last year, even though that Week 17 game was pretty much meaningless. Like, Chase Young didn't really make an impact in that game until kind of later in it. Like, when the Eagles were, I guess we can call it tanking. I don't know what they were actually
right
at that point. But for me, at least, I was really impressed with Jordan Mailata last year, and I don't even think he scratched the surface of his potential.
Not even close.
Yeah, I think he has a ceiling. Jordan Mailata, I really don't know what that ceiling is, and that's great for the Eagles.
All right, well, what about, you know, we're talking about a lot of the positives here. Are there positives in the defensive backfield, the way you see this team, or is you know, because that looks like a major shortfall, at least where we are on July the 7th. A lot can change between now and the start of the season. I get all that, but what's your assessment of that area?
Here's the thing. I don't think the Eagles can compete for a division title until they get CB2 figured out. Like, I like Zach McPherson. I don't want him in that spot. I feel like you're just asking that guy to fail as a rookie. I like him as a slot cornerback. There's nothing against Avonte Maddox. I actually think he's a fine player, but I feel the Eagles are going to move him around a little bit, and he's more of a depth piece than he is a starter. I think they need a guy like Steven Nelson in there, or they got to trade for somebody. Like, I know a lot of people like to bring up Stephon Gilmore. I just don't feel the Eagles have the cap space or the resources, or they want to use the resources necessarily to do that. I'd rather sign a Steven Nelson on like a 1 or 2 year deal and just kind of get a solid number 2 cornerback in there with Darius Slay, a guy who can play the outside, and a guy who I feel Jonathan Gannon can use his strengths. That's one thing I just don't like about this team right now. I'm really scared about that. I think their linebacker position is going to be a lot better than people think. I think the safety position is fine, but they really need to get that cornerback too figured out, or it's going to be a long year.
I at this point, man, I'm thinking a lot better about the situation at the secondary because I'm
wow.
And it's not because
what the hell happened overnight.
It's not necessarily what they're going to do. Is, you know, it's going to be a mix and match. You know, Zach McPherson, he'll get his opportunity. He probably won't start. It'll probably be Avonte Maddox starting it off. But there was some players that played last year that really showed me, you know, that they might have the ability to really play. Like, say what you want to say. Craig James, you know, he stepped up a little bit. He doesn't care. You know, he's fearless. He's just going to go out there and fight every single play. Michael JAKIB, he's like 6'1", can run. You know, he's going to get another year under his belt. He's going to get a lot better. Not saying that they're going to be able to compete, you know, with these wide receivers, especially in Dallas. You know, you got 3 guys in Dallas. You got 3 or 4 guys with the Giants. You got 2 or 3 guys with the Washington football team. I'm not necessarily saying the secondary can cover them, but what I'm saying, the guys up front and the scheme that Gannon is going to implement. I think they're going to blitz more. They're going to use the talent that they have at the linebacker position for blitzing purposes. You know, they're going to bring in, you know, a guy like, you know, Jacoby Stevens, you know, who they drafted to be a linebacker / safety who can play that like almost like they call a monitor position in high school. It's more so a guy that's a safety, and it's going to be, they're going to call it like big nickel, in which he can be around the line of scrimmage and blitz like a Jamal Adams. I see him doing stuff like that more so than just allowing the front four to just blitz. And I think Gannon likes stuff like that. He likes to be able to blitz guys from different positions on the field, blitzing linebackers. Those are things that you can use and help the secondary become better players, man. And that'll be the only way they can do it is they start blitzing more. And we love blitzing here in Philadelphia.
What scares me about Michael JAKIB, and it's not his coverage ability. I'm afraid the Eagles are going to cut him because of cornerback depth or whatever, and he becomes like a Chandon Sullivan type out. Chandon Sullivan ended up with the Green Bay Packers. He's actually a solid cornerback. And
right.
Here, he wasn't good, and it was nothing against Chandon Sullivan. I don't know if it was the scheme or what, but I'm like, okay, this guy has some talent. I watched him at Georgia State. The kid can play, and I just don't want to see that happen to a guy like Michael JAKIB. So you're right, Barrett. Maybe another year of him won't be the worst thing in the world for the Eagles.
Right. All right, let's go to Jalen Hurts. And I know, some guys are very high on him. I don't really know what to make of him, except that he seems to be a great leader and a great teammate and a great, type of person that you'd want in your locker room. As far as being a quarterback at the NFL level for, 17 games, not just coming in to sort of take up for a franchise player who had lost his way, I don't know what to make of him. He turned the ball over a lot. He's 50 some odd % completion percentage, which is not good in this NFL. You got to be about 65 or you're not good. So I realized he was dealing with some wide receiver issues, offensive line issues, some of the same things that Carson dealt with last year. What makes us think that he's all of a sudden going to be a starting quarterback in this league just because he happens to be our starting quarterback?
I just think the way the league's shifting, I'm not saying you can get away with a 52.9 completion percentage,
right,
but he's kind of like a poor man's Lamar Jackson at this point. He just adds another dimension to the offense that, no disrespect to Carson Wentz, he just didn't have. And, when this offensive line was in shambles last year, Jalen Hurts makes a 10-yard loss, a 10-yard gain just by his legs. And I feel like if you're going to base your offense off the running backs, you got to use Jalen Hurts to that advantage too. And now that you have better blockers, I feel like getting Jalen Hurts outside the pocket and utilizing his strengths is really going to benefit this team, at the beginning of the year. And when teams eventually figure him out, and that's when you can see, okay, can this guy pass from the pocket? If we take away, outside the hash marks, can Jalen Hurts complete a 10-yard slant to Devonta Smith? I think he can do that, but it's not going to be right away. And I think that's what the coaching staff, especially Brian Johnson, needs to do for him.
Well, these days they're implementing college type of offenses. You look what's going on in Arizona. They're trying to make sure that they, get the best out of the personnel people that they have. And you're going to have to be a dual threat. He's going to have to be a dual threat quarterback. They don't want him to be outside his comfort zone of being a drop back quarterback. It's a lot different when he was in college. Mm-hmm. But one of the, not talking about his physical ability, not his arm strength or reading defense or anything else. I think one of the best traits that Hurts has is the ability to lead men. People love playing for him, and his teammates will definitely rally behind him. And I think that's a trait that they're not giving as much credit to him as a leader in that locker room than we should.
Yeah, Barrett, and you can relate to this too. When you played for the Eagles in 95, 96, when Ty Detmer came in, you could see that spark, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I was going with. And it can will you to victory. Even if the quarterback himself isn't the most talented player in the world, he still can be in that locker room, just things he says, things he does, and it just inspires you. And I feel like if Jalen Hurts fails physically, and he's already athletically gifted, but if it just doesn't work out, I still feel every week the Eagles are going to go to battle for him, even if he's struggling. And
absolutely,
that's the one thing I like about him. And last year with Carson Wentz, and again, it's stuff I hear too. I just don't know if Carson had that fire last year compared to previous years, and that's what worried me about him. I'm like, okay, is this guy checking out? Because when you hear stuff behind the scenes, it's okay, I know this guy isn't like this all the time, so something must be going on. And Jalen Hurts, the guy just has no fear. He just doesn't care.
All right, if I had to ask you, Jeff, for one word to describe this upcoming season as it stands right now, to sort of describe the year, what word would you use?
Oh, man.
Because I got one.
You go yours first.
All right. Experimental.
I'll say interesting. How's that?
Oh, okay. Well, it's definitely going to be interesting.
I thought you were going to say interesting before.
Well, they are always interesting for us. There's no doubt about it. They were, before they won the Super Bowl, I had said that they're one of the most compelling sports franchises, that had never won anything in the modern era, because there's always something going on. There's always, something, the front office is doing something. They're always grabbing your attention.
It's almost like a live-action soap opera, like The Young and the Restless. Only this year, I don't think we're going to get it with the quarterback position for once. I always used to joke the backup quarterback is the most popular athlete in Philadelphia. I don't think Joe Flacco is going to be that guy
this year. My word is going to be fight. No matter how bad they're outmatched, how bad they're being outcoached, I don't feel as though they'll be out physical. I think they'll bring a physical nature to the game. When you have when you're a fighter, you have a fighter's chance. It gives you an opportunity to at least be in the game. And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to fight, man. They're going to give it all, not just for, Jalen Hurts, but they're going to give it all for this coaching staff. You got a young group of guys. They're going to get these guys, fired up and have them ready to, to go out there and play. And that's all you can ask from a team, is to go out there and have the ability to fight and know that you're in a street fight when you're playing against them, as an opposing team.
And I did my game-by-game schedule prediction for the Eagles. I had them winning a lot of games. When you do the game-by-game, you're like, okay, what games aren't they going to win? And I circled a couple games they aren't going to win that they will win, because I feel like they're just going to out-hustle a team. And it's going to be like, it's football. Like, you don't have to rely on talent all the time. And I think the best equalizer in the game is just out-physical and out-hustle. And I think Eagles are going to do that to a couple teams this year. Like, a lot of people say that the Giants are really tough. I think the Eagles are going to say, okay, Joe Judge, you think your team is so tough? Well, guess what? We're going to fight back, and we're going to see how you react to it. Because I think that's what the Giants beat the Eagles the second time last year. I just thought they out-toughed them, I guess you can use. And I think it's going to be like that with Washington. And Dallas will probably end up stealing the game from just because of that. And maybe that's why I feel the Eagles are going to end up 8-9, even though, like, in the back of my head, it's like, okay, this is probably a 6-win team. But again, this all relies on Jalen Hurts too. Jalen Hurts plays well and they play tough. They could easily win 10 games, especially in this division, and they have a last place schedule.
All right, here I got one more for you, and then I got a Penn State question for you.
All right.
There's three choices. Starting quarterback for the Eagles in 2022: Deshaun Watson, Sam Howell, or Jalen Hurts.
What's the kid from Liberty's name?
I forget. He played at Auburn. I forget his name. I don't have his name.
I should know it too. I should know it too. I really should know that. I got to get all my draft stuff. You know what? I will say Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback in 20.
Wow.
In week one. We'll see who they draft.
Wow. How about that? Malik Willis.
That's it. It was
That's him.
Something. I didn't want to get the name wrong.
Okay. Yeah, he played at Auburn for a year or two before he ended up with Hugh Freeze at Liberty. Barrett, how would you answer that question?
I'm going to go Jalen Hurts also.
What?
And the reason why, I understand why you guys are saying the North Carolina quarterback.
Deshaun Watson.
I don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to play.
I don't know if he's ever going to suit up again. I had the Texans go 1-16 because of this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a team right now, man, that they can't afford to do anything wrong right now. With the whole situation with, we're talking about a franchise quarterback that just going to be he's going to be a state of nothingness for the next year and a half until all this court stuff goes on. And they're going to make sure they delay it for a long time, man. And he's going to be sitting there for a long time. He's going to be probably too rusty to even come back, at this point. So I don't know if I can say Deshaun Watson simply because, they're going to try to make a
he's not going to be rusty. He's going to be massaged every day. We already know that. How can you get rusty when you got a masseuse on you all the time?
You do run out of people.
Right. Well, true. All right. Last one. Penn State. They start off the year, I think, at Wisconsin. They have Auburn, maybe week 3. Pretty good opening schedule. Villanova's on the schedule. I mean, what's your outlook for the Knits?
I think they're going to be a lot better than people think. Like last year, I kept trying to just erase that from my mind. But the COVID year, when they lost to Indiana on that fluke play, or that should have been overturned, and they didn't get a rain replay. I'm like, all right, whatever. This year's a wash anyway. They're going to lose to Ohio State, and I didn't think they'd start out like 0-4 or 0-5, but really love the way they finished last year. They simplified the offense. I love the offense coordinator they brought in. I can never pronounce the guy's name, but he was at Shippensburg.
He was at Ship a long time ago,
yeah,
right?
And Ship's offense was a lot of fun in the PSAC. So I kind of like that. And James Franklin's just bringing in recruit after recruit. I jumped up. I don't do this much, but I know Nick Singleton's father, and I jumped up in the air when he committed to Penn State yesterday. So I think that kid's going to be an absolute stud. I got to give some Berks County some love here, but I'll tell you what. I honestly feel like this year's going to be a building block for something really special in 2022. I have a feeling they're going to win 9 games. Just look at the schedule. I think they'll be pretty good. Ohio State's still the class of the field. Indiana's going to be good. Wisconsin's going to be good. Michigan's Michigan, honestly. There's always going to be a surprise team in the Big Ten. I feel like they could be it this year, but 2022, 2023 is really when I'm looking at this football team.
Yeah, the Big Ten has gotten a lot better, man.
Yeah, it has. It has. And Nick Singleton, of course, the kid from Governor Mifflin that he referenced. I mean, he had a ton of offers, didn't he?
He had so this is pretty much what I knew, and they didn't tell me where he was going to go, but I pretty much kind of knew it was between Penn State and Notre Dame the entire time. And he wanted to commit to Notre Dame, literally on the visit. And his mom and his dad said, hey, look, let's go back. Let's collect our thoughts. And Penn State was after him from day one. They were telling me about the recruiting visit. It was almost like, say you guys are applying for a job and they want you for the job right away. That's pretty much what it was. It's like, we want you. We'll do anything to have you. They put him in a number 10 Penn State jersey. He talked to Dirty Brown. He talked to who else did he talk to? What's the kid's name? Noah Kane. They pretty much just said from basically the Penn State visit was they made him feel like family. And, he was part of the team already, and he still got another year in high school. And, I always said if I was a recruit, that's what would ultimately make my decision. Of course, I'm biased. I would have went to Penn State regardless. But, I thought that was a great recruiting job by Franklin to keep a guy in-house. And that's what you got to do to be Ohio State. Pennsylvania and New Jersey are a hotbed of football talent.
Without question. And Maryland, too. All right. You got to follow Jeff Kerr on Twitter, at Jeff Kerr CBS. And we'll talk to you down the road, Jeff. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy whatever vacation you have before the season starts here in a couple of weeks.
I'm honestly ready to get back to work. I
Look at you.
Me too, bro.
I'm one of those people, I actually decided to take an assignment this week on vacation, and it was ranking the teams that never won a Super Bowl and their chances to win a Super Bowl this year. I feel like getting everybody riled up with after Buffalo and Cleveland, how would I rank them? And I got the Cardinals pretty high. Texans are really low. I got the Jaguars higher than most people think. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm doing the top 10 quarterback coach combinations this week. And I can't wait for people to get mad at my Andy Reid love. So.
All right. Well, you got to check that out. And I'm sure you have the links to your Twitter, to cbssports.com. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. There's Jeff Kerr. Look at that. He's working.